My name is Tim Grantham, and this is my analysis of YouTube as a platform for the creation and delivery of narrative content. In particular, non-fiction narrative content, such as my personal favorites, video essays, and documentaries. The main question to ask in a platform analysis is, how do the unique characteristics of the platform create? More specifically, what are the affordances of the platform, and how does it mediate ideas? Well, I'm going to argue that YouTube doesn't mediate ideas, at least not directly. Let me start by making it clear that YouTube is not primarily a content creation platform, with the exception of YouTube Shorts and live streaming. YouTube is a content distribution platform. YouTubers create their content offline and then upload it to YouTube for distribution. YouTube doesn't offer new ways to tell stories, but it does make much more room for new storytellers. Whatever your story is, YouTube's goal is to make the distribution of the story as easy and as wide as possible. And it has achieved that goal. According to YouTube, every day people watch over 1 billion hours of video and generate billions of views. YouTube is available in more than 100 countries around the world, across 80 languages. More than 500 hours of content get uploaded every minute. Let's take a look at YouTube Studio. The first thing that strikes you is that despite the name Studio, there's almost no functions or affordances here for creating content. There are features for managing your content, features for analyzing how audiences are consuming the content, features for dealing with potential copyright violations, and features to check your content for conformance to community and advertising standards. The only feature that is specifically for content creation is the audio feature, which offers a catalog of royalty-free music and sound effects. But as you see, the quantities are very small. The net effect of all YouTube's distribution capabilities is to make it far more possible than ever for individual content creators to reach a broad audience. Take, for example, my favorite source of science documentaries, Veritasium, written, produced, and presented by Canadian Derek Miller. Miller uploaded his first video to YouTube in 2011. Let's take a look at it.
How long does it take for the Earth to go around the Sun?
Well, a day.
Yeah?
24 hours.
24 hours?
What do you reckon, cuz?
Isn't it 24 hours?
Obviously a day, yes.
A day, I hope.
I know it takes 90 minutes for the space station to go around the Earth.
$360.
No, 1 day. Is it 1 day? I don't know. What is it?
That's 1 year.
Oh, like a year.
A year.
1 year.
12 months.
12 months?
365.
365.
365.
365.
365 days.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
365.
It's somewhere between that. It's not quite precise, is it?
365 and a bit days.
It's nearly 300. It's 365.25.
5 and a quarter days.
Hey, the Earth doesn't take 1 day to get around the sun.
It's short, it's clearly made with cheap equipment,
Takes like a year.
it consists entirely of street footage, and it features a single plain title. The low costs of consumer equipment and the cheap distribution afforded by YouTube enabled Miller to continue to pursue his passion for science education. Since that first video, he has published hundreds of science videos, steadily growing his audience to the point where his videos now receive millions of views. More importantly, the revenue-generating affordances provided by distribution through YouTube have enabled him to greatly improve the quality and detail of his videos. They now routinely feature original high-quality animations, visits to interesting locations, and interviews with scientists. As game-changing as it has been for storytellers, we can't forget that YouTube is a commercial for-profit enterprise. So it has a bottom line: boost revenues and reduce costs. And this is where YouTube does place some constraints on storytellers. First, storytellers who are not partners with YouTube have the length of their stories restricted to 15 minutes. To reduce YouTube's exposure to legal liabilities, creators have to subject their content to monitoring for copyright infringement, compliance with community standards, and for compliance with legislation intended to protect the privacy of young viewers. These YouTube-imposed constraints are definitely indirect mediation of ideas, but YouTube is not arbitrating the ideas themselves. Rather, it is acting as a proxy for those authorities and communities that have a say in what ideas they want to consider and those they don't. I'll finish my analysis by highlighting one feature of YouTube that does appear to have a direct, if peripheral, impact on the way storytellers shape their content for YouTube viewers: the click-through rate. This is a measure of how many viewers access your video by clicking on a titled thumbnail you created for the video. This has enabled content creators to test changes to the thumbnail to see if one version is more attractive than another. But Derek Miller at Veritasium can explain this much more effectively than I can. So I'll leave you with the link to his video where he does exactly that.
Spin. It takes off like a rocket and shoots out way further than you'd expect. This video was embedded on literally hundreds of news websites, and in its first week it got 16.3 million views. But almost none of those views came on the YouTube platform. Why? Because I gave it this thumbnail and I called it Strange Applications of the Magnus Effect.